What if I was to tell you that life wasn't always about what's right or what's wrong? That life, like trees, have layers, rings of growth that can illuminate a higher truth found within them. That life is meant to be seen through the lenses of what's good, better, and best. Now I grew up sheltered in the Appalachian mountains, raised at the foot of Cold Mountain, and it was a lot like Huckleberry Finn. My life was a little wild, running the woods with my brother, with my cousin, and I can remember us working in the garden alongside my grandfather and my father, and we would harvest the fruits of those vegetables and the fruits of that labor to pickle and to can. We would forage morels and wild leeks, ramps in early spring. We would pick black raspberry in summer and high elevation huckleberries in early autumn. We would slog across hay fields, follow abandoned logging roads to stands of walnut trees to hunt for gray squirrel and rabbits. We would float down the Pigeon River on wooden pallets tied to fallen logs to catch a mess of bluegill and rock bass for a midweek supper. I can remember my father, he would get off at the paper mill, and there was a little church right at the bend of the river, and he would pull into that parking lot and he would honk his horn, and we knew we better come running or we'd be walking our way home. My childhood was good. It really was. We experienced things. We were able to get dirt under our fingernails, and it was a good thing. We liked to forage for rock moss and bundles of galax, and we would sell those to a local florist. We would hunt for ginseng in October and white-tailed deer in November. And so one of my favorite things to hunt for was ginseng. So what is ginseng? Well, ginseng is a plant, a native plant, that its root is highly prized for its medicinal properties. It can be found in energy drinks, it can be found in green tea, it can be found in dietary supplements, and I love to try to forage for it and try to find it. I can remember one story in particular where my father and my grandfather, we had hiked for miles and we dropped into this dense shaded holler. We pushed our way through a stand of chest-high jewelweed, touch-me-nots to find this patch of chartreuse and emerald green ginseng plants standing there with hickory nut-sized clusters of red berries. And I can remember my father, he would always instruct me to leave the juvenile plants behind. He said, that's for your future. That's for the future generations. He would always reach down and he would grab that cluster of red berries and he would roll those around in his hand and he would broadcast them around the area. Half the time, he would carry a pocket full of ginseng seeds that he and my grandfather grew, and he would replant those nearly every time he dug. What he was trying to tell me and teach me was to be a good steward with the resources that was so abundantly offered to us. And ginseng for my family was a lot like the vegetables that we harvested, or the land that we farmed, or the burley tobacco that once cured in so many barns. Another example is my father is a beekeeper. And bees, very much like ginseng, are meant to be viewed as a resource. Because you see, it's good for me to get out in the woods and find some ginseng. It's good for me to get out and experience the hike, get dirt under my fingernails, get sunshine on my face, and achieve the goal of finding ginseng. Now, what's better is actually finding more than one ginseng plant. What's better is being able to go into the woods and find more than one plant. What's better is when you're like my father, you have recruited your young son to follow you into the woods because many hands make work light. 2 eyes, 2 heads are better than 1. That is better. So what's best in regards to ginseng? Well, best is understanding and seeing the environment that ginseng likes to grow in. It's learning not to just identify the ginseng plant, but the trees and the plants that grow around it. It's understanding what soil ginseng likes to grow in and what environment is needed for that plant to thrive. Well, what's best is to leave the juvenile plants behind. What's best is to begin to understand that there's more to the task and the achievement of the goal of finding ginseng than actually just finding the ginseng. That it's equally about the hike and the sun and the ginseng plant and the dirt under my fingernails as it is anything else. So back to the bees. My father, he is a beekeeper, and establishing a beehive to collect some honey is a good thing. Why is that? Well, honey's good. Am I right? So, theoretically, if establishing one beehive is good and we were trying to collect more honey, the natural thing would be a second beehive. More beehives is better because more beehives equals more production, which equals more honey, which eventually equals a little more money in my pocket, right? Well, then we're back to the best. Well, what is best? Well, what's best is understanding why bees do what they do, why bees forage what they forage. Best is establishing a beehive or 2 beehives, not just anywhere, not just in an asphalt parking lot or down the street, but in your own backyard, near your own vegetable garden, where they can pollinate your vegetables, they can pollinate your apple trees. Best is stewarding those honeybees in such a way that they can thrive, and establishing an environment, cultivating and creating an environment for them to flourish and grow. So what does this have to do with anything? What do ginseng and honeybees really have to do with anything? Well, I believe it has to do with everything. The problem is, in the world that's so full of weights and measures, that's so divided and decisive, where everything truly is about what's right or wrong, we have forgotten that it doesn't have to be that way. For me, when I was younger, I was headstrong, bullheaded, and thrust into management. Well, I was eager to prove that I had what it takes, eager to accomplish a goal. Well, management can be defined as the use of means to accomplish an end. And management's a good thing. Businesses would fail, businesses would go under if we did not have management established to accomplish a goal. Well, it would be safe to say that if management is the use of means to accomplish an end, then the means used for what is better is people. That's where leadership comes into play. And leadership is better. Leadership, as Forbes defines it, is the establishment using people, right? Leadership is the establishment of worth, creating and encouraging individuals to accomplish a goal. It's social influence for them to accomplish a goal. But wait, both management and leadership are focused on accomplishing a goal. So if management's good and leadership is better, and so many of our organizations, so many of our churches, so many of our relationships have only focused on what's good and what's better, or worse yet, that's what they've settled for. Well, what is best? Well, for me, and my life story of progressing from that young guy focused on management, focused on accomplishing a goal, understanding that I can use people to accomplish those goals. That is better. But what's best is stewardship. Stewardship is the responsible care for someone or something. Accomplishment of a goal isn't even included in the concept of stewardship. It's cultivating and creating an environment for any one thing to grow, for any one thing to flourish and thrive, no matter the production value they have or have not. So what if we started looking at our marriages that way? Our friends, our coworkers, our organizations in that light, through that lens. What if we stopped looking at it as things to manage or cattle to lead, but as unique resources for us to steward, for us to cultivate an environment for them to grow, no matter the production value they have. Because at the end of the day, like the honeybee, we might find out that we have not received jars full of wildflower honey, but that the bees have pollinated the purple clover in our hay fields. And the purple clover has fixed nitrogen into the soil, which causes the field grass to grow. Well, that field grass grows and is harvested for hay. And that equals more hay to sell, which equals more hay for livestock. And then we realize that our tomatoes are plentiful and our apple trees are fully loaded. It's not about what's right or wrong. It's about what's good, better, and best.